Queen Hippolyta is a bleed limited mythic champion in DC Dark Legion. You're going to be able to obtain her via bleed banners. And since her introduction into the game, she really has been one of the most important champions that you could build for your roster, depending on what you're trying to put together. So I want to spend a little bit of time going through her kit and talking about some of the things that you should be looking out for, reasons why you should be wailing on her. I think on the flip side, maybe reasons why you may not need her for your roster. But for the most part, I would say Queen Hippolyta is 100% a whale. She is a champion that is really plug and play with a lot of the best meta teams in Meta Brawl, and she does provide some usefulness in some of the other PvE game modes. She's not really a combat cycle champion for the most part, but she definitely offers a ton of utility in teams that need a little bit of protection for a specific duration. Like in Training Simulator, going against 5 Deathstrokes, you're really going to need a lot of protection. Something like potentially Atom. There are some like 5 Atom levels where that would be important. Obviously, any Legion of Doom matchup that you're going against in Meta Brawl, you really need Queen Hippolyta. And there are a couple of other matchups where she's pretty necessary as well. So seeing a lot of use of her as a fifth in Superman family rosters. We're seeing her with Nightwing hypercarry rosters. We're seeing her with even Justice League Dark to an extent. But for the most part, that's like one of the few teams that you probably don't need to build Queen Hippolyta for. Now, like a hybrid Justice League Dark that has Nightwing in it might be a little bit more important, but she really is super helpful with any team that has assassins. And that's why, again, she gets, she's seeing a lot of play in the Legion of Doom meta right now. She has been in the game for quite a while, so a lot of people may already be familiar with the way her kit works. This video is really more directed for folks who have her in the bleed currently or are on newer servers that may have never experienced the champion yet. What they've done with this Amazon's tag is they've really made physical defense a very important and integral part of the kit. So you'll see with all the Amazon's champions an emphasis on physical defense, and kind of like there's a lot of interplay with that as you read through the kit. I mentioned Queen Hippolyta is all about protection. We're going to take a look at a couple of the tag synergies that Queen Hippolyta has here. I should mention she is a Guardian champion, so she kind of fits in with all the tanks. She's not super tanky herself, but with the way her kit works, the way her ultimate works and everything else, she's able to do a lot of damage reduction. So she's not going to be face tanking things, but she can pull a massive amount of damage off of the rest of your team. So the Amazon's tag, you can get this tag synergy by deploying 3, 4, or 5 Amazon's champions. And this one will increase your champion's physical defense by a percentage, and then also grant them energy every 5 seconds. So, any sort of energy gain is akin to turn meter in a lot of other games, and you want to have that like speed as well. So she's making her team a lot faster. They're going to ult faster. They're going to do all their special abilities a lot faster. And they're getting that extra physical defense, which for like a Death Metal Wonder Woman full Amazon's team is going to be super important. But could also be important for other Amazon's tag synergy rosters as well. Like if you're going for a 3 tag so that you could include some other champions in there. There are a ton of different options that you have with that, like obviously the Teen Titans, because you have that synergy with your Donna Troy. But there's other things out there that you could try to build like metahuman style teams as well. So that's it for the Amazon's tag synergy. And then we have metahuman, which seems like most champions that are coming into the game recently have this metahuman tag. And so it's a really, really nice, probably my favorite non-primary tag synergy that you could have. For this one, deploying metahuman champions will increase their attack and HP by a percentage. So it's a really nice one to try to get for any team that you're building. Now you can see, and I love that they added this because it helps me do my job a little bit more effectively. But you can see that damage absorption tag here, and also shields. Mentioned a little bit about that before. One of the most important things about Queen Hippolyta's kit is getting her to the right star level. So the way her kit works, like the primary most important thing for her kit is trying to take the first turn in battle. And so you need to get her to a point, if you're trying to play at the higher levels, you need to get her to a point where she gets 100 energy to start the battle. And in order to do that, it's going to require using this or building out this Gaia's Gift, which is your third basic skill. And again, we're going to talk about these in order, so I'm kind of like going out of turn here. But I just want to mention that this is the one that grants energy, and then you also have her staff, her Themysciran Royal Scepter, which also will grant energy at the start of the battle. So those two things are key, and we're going to talk about that interplay as we go through the kit. Now we'll start out with Queen Hippolyta's ultimate. It's called Athena's Shield, and basically she is going to absorb a percentage of damage taken by her allies within range, and she will also gain super armor. And if you're not familiar with super armor, it's going to prevent any actions or skills from being interrupted by enemy attacks. That's incredibly important for a champion like Queen Hippolyta, especially with something like her Athena's Shield. Big downfall here is that while she's in this state, while she's absorbing this damage, she will not be able to recover energy. So, you know, she's going to do her ult, and then she's going to be absorbing damage. And while that damage gets absorbed, she won't be able to recover ult. So there is kind of like a little bit of a downtime with the skill. She's also going to be granting a shield equal to a percentage of her physical defense to all allies for 8 seconds. This was something that was removed from the kit and added back during that whole fiasco. I won't bring that up too much here, but incredibly important part of the kit, and what makes her so powerful as a plug and play champion is being able to grant this shield to allies, and especially since it's based off of her physical defense. So the higher you're able to star up this her ultimate ability, which is the first star, the better that shield is going to get, and the more physical defense you can put on her, the more powerful it's going to be as well. Now, her first basic skill is called Luck of Taish. She's going to grant a shield equal to a percentage of her physical defense to the ally with the lowest HP percentage for 10 seconds. And that shield is strengthened by 50%, or well, I should say a percentage for any Amazon's allies. So going to be a little bit more effective if she places it on Wonder Woman or Donna Troy, or if you can afford her, Death Metal Wonder Woman. But quite important ability here in general. Again, another thing that makes her incredibly plug and play friendly, because she can grant this shield to any ally. It doesn't have to be tag synergy specific. Now, if you unlock the multiversal force, if you invest force into this skills force talent, it will increase the shield strength by a percentage. I believe that should go up to 15%. The second basic skill is called Hera's Protection. So for the first 20 seconds of battle, all allies' physical defense is going to increase by a percentage. Amazon's allies will gain an additional percentage based on the amount of Amazons who are present. So this is kind of the part of her kit where she starts becoming much better with Amazons, but it really doesn't matter too much. Again, you're going to grant all allies physical defense increase regardless of whether they have the Amazon's tag. So it's not like you're completely losing this ability, putting her into other teams. Now, investing into the force talent for this ability will increase Queen Hippolyta's max HP up to 15%. And then we already mentioned Gaia's Gift. This is Queen Hippolyta's third basic ability. You're going to get this one at the 5-star level. I mentioned that was important. So at the start of battle, Queen Hippolyta will gain a certain amount of energy based on the level you have this at. And after casting her ultimate, she takes 50% or a percentage less damage from absorption and a percentage less from all other sources for 8 seconds. Investing in the force talent for this ability will increase Queen Hippolyta's physical defense by a percentage up to 25%. And then Queen Hippolyta's global skill is called Queen's Patronage. This one increases all champions' HP by a percentage and Guardian champions' physical defense by a percentage. So, really important skill to have for your Amazon's tag synergy. We already talked about the 3 main force talents that you can put skill into. There are a few others that are probably worth getting for Queen Hippolyta. Obviously, I think anything that makes her healthier is going to be worth investing into. So you definitely want to get these health points. Obviously, I prefer getting the percentage health first. And then we've also got the crit damage resistance and crit resistance that are both worth getting for her because she's going to be doing a massive amount of damage reduction. She's kind of a damage sponge, and she's basically, taking the brunt of the damage at the beginning of some of these fights. So preventing crits from happening on her is definitely going to be super important to keeping her alive. And then this PDEF, this one is the most important talent that you could have for her. You want to make sure that you max this one out before anything else, especially because it's a little bit cheaper. So definitely that one, and then making sure that you invest into the 3 main force talents first, and then you can focus on everything else. For gear, obviously you want to try to get that Amazon tagged gear on her as quickly as possible to get that 20% increase in stats. So make sure you're going for that. As far as what you want to fish for your transmutes, physical defense, if you can get it, just regular health is going to be important on her. Energy gain is pretty important if you're at the lower star levels. If you can get her to, and we'll talk about this in just a second, but if you can get her to 5 gold stars or higher, then it's going to make it a lot easier for you to get that instant ult right at the beginning of battle. And so energy gain becomes a little bit less important for her. Really, that first ult that you do is the most important one. So energy gain to an extent, really, I think every champion could benefit from energy gain. But outside of those items, you could probably go for crit resistance and those sorts of, protection-based transmutes for anything else. For gear, you pretty much have to have Thermosiren Royal Scepter on Queen Hippolyta if you want her to work the way she is intended to. There's really not much else that I would recommend that you put on her. You can get away with something like Gabriel Horn or Amazonian Alloy Shield, but you're not going to be using the Alloy Shield on her if you're putting it on your Wonder Woman, obviously. Wouldn't really recommend improved Fear Gas Vial because it's giving you spiritual defense, protection. So, realistically, I think Gabriel Horn is, definitely worth considering just for the energy gain bonus if you need it. But you really just need to be going after the scepter kind of in tandem with your Queen Hippolyta. So she does require a little bit of investment from that standpoint. But investing into the Royal Scepter is going to give you flat HP. It's going to give you HP percentage and then crit resistance percentage. And then you're going to have 2 really important skills for Queen Hippolyta here. So the first one is going to be Queen's Privilege. This is the one that activates only if Queen Hippolyta is using this legacy piece. And then she's also got Protection of the Fates, which activates if anyone uses the legacy piece. But for Queen's Privilege, at the start of the battle, Queen Hippolyta is going to gain 30 energy, and then she also restores a percentage of her max HP per second until the end of the battle. Also, after casting her ultimate, she restores an additional percentage of her max HP per second for 8 seconds. So, decent amount of healing and self sustain there, as well as that energy that she's going to gain at the very beginning of battle. Keep that in mind. We're going to go back to her star level in just a second. And keep also in mind that we are at 5 white stars on this legacy piece at this point. This is a smaller amount of energy gain if you are at 0 stars. So we've also got the Protection of the Fates, and this one increases the wearer's physical defense by 20%. After the wearer casts their ultimate, all other allies gain energy. So, really, really important there. Again, we talked about the energy gain. You can see in a full Amazon's setup, it's going to be pretty significant amount of energy gain between this and the tag synergy bonus. But even in non Amazon's teams, that little bit of additional energy is going to be definitely very important. Now, let's get into the math a little bit for the energy gain. So, if what it really boils down to, and people smarter than me figured this out a while ago, is if you want to get an instant ult, there's basically 2 options for you. Option number 1 is just get Queen Hippolyta to 5 red stars. She's going to instant ult regardless of whether you have her legacy piece start up at all. You just need 5 red stars and a 0-star legacy piece. Or if for folks like me who want to invest a little bit less in the champions, because it's much easier to get someone to just 5 gold stars or 1 red star than trying to get them all the way maxed out, you can go 5 gold stars, which is where that third skill is going to kind of like star up and become more powerful, and then 5 white stars on the legacy piece. So you'll upgrade the energy gain here on Queen's Privilege that we mentioned. So, that's, I think, the more not even light spin, but like the more Dolphin level to make sure that she instant ults. And I think that's kind of like minimum viability for high-end PvP for Queen Hippolyta. You really have to have her ult immediately to see that difference. But those are the 2 options that you have in terms of trying to get to that instant ult. Now, I will say, even without the instant ult, she is going to ult pretty quickly after the battle starts if you have her legacy piece at 0 stars. I only just now took it to 5 white over the weekend, so, very new to me that she can instant ult. But it is a huge game changer for Meta Brawl, especially on offense. So probably the most important part of her kit that you need to understand is the instant ult piece. I've been talking a little bit about tag synergy and just team synergy as we've gone through this video. I don't want to spend too much time on it here at the end, but I do want to point out how incredibly important it is to have Queen Hippolyta for a full Amazons team. She is part of like the engine, I think, that's going to make Death Metal Wonder Woman worth investing into, and people who have her at any star level are going to be happy if they also had Queen Hippolyta pretty high. The other champions, Wonder Woman and Donna Troy, are definitely going to be integral to the team, but you pretty much have to have Queen Hippolyta at high levels for Death Metal Wonder Woman to work. But we also talked about the fact that for the most part, Amazons is kind of dead in the water if you don't have Death Metal Wonder Woman. So some of the other tag synergy that I mentioned that's super important, Superman family doesn't have a 5th right now, and she slots in really well as the 5th for that team for Meta Brawl and really for any ship combat or like PvP style combat. She's going to be really good for that team to keep everyone alive, to protect your damage dealers like your Supergirl primarily while you're waiting for Crypto to ult. So that's going to be an important team. We've also seen with the Legion of Doom team using her as a fifth instead of Captain Cold, and that seems to be fairly effective. Obviously, your Legion of Doom teams are going to be best when they have all five team members as Legion of Doom tag synergy, but I think the amount of energy gain loss and damage loss that you have from replacing one of those champions with Queen Hippolyta is offset by the fact that she's able to kind of like do that damage absorption at the very beginning of a fight, and you're pretty much going to win. If it's a mirror match, I think for the most part Legion of Doom is going to win on offense, and it's going to help you win to have Queen Hippolyta in your lineup. So definitely some good synergy there. And then we also, I guess I should also mention, we'll throw Teen Titans in here because she's pretty helpful for a Nightwing team with Starfire. Just kind of some extra healing to keep him alive in Meta Brawl. And I really do think that there are going to be some viable team comps that include Donna Troy as well. Again, you're going to be losing that Bat Family synergy for your Nightwing, but if the idea is just to have like a super strong Nightwing that you just need to keep alive a little bit longer, I think that will give him more time to either crit at a lower crit rate or at least to continue to take turns and ult. So, definitely think that Queen Hippolyta is going to slot in really well with these Nightwing comps. That's going to be all the time we have for this Queen Hippolyta Whaler skip. Enjoying building Amazons for my account personally, and in particular this champion. She is going to be, here to stay in the S tier category unless they do anything to change her kit or the way her kit mechanics work or interact with other teams. So 100% recommend people going after this champion. Even light spenders should probably try to get her into their account. If you already have a good win condition and you're looking at ways to protect them, Queen Hippolyta is the way to go. So thank you for watching this video. Leave a comment down below. Let me know whether you've gone after Queen Hippolyta and what your experience has been with her. Looking forward to reading those. And if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel. It will help with the algorithm. You'll also get notified anytime I come out with new DC Dark Legion content in the future. And if not, I still hope to see you in the next video.